A path of destruction in western North Carolina in the aftermath of Helene. The storm is now being compared to Hurricane Katrina, with officials calling it a disaster of biblical proportion. Residents trapped in their homes with no lights, food or water, and few open roads for rescuers to help them. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Julian Grace. Well, in the last 10 minutes, President Joe Biden has approved a disaster declaration for North Carolina, ordering federal aid to support recovery efforts. Now, Governor Roy Cooper has confirmed at least 10 deaths, and that number is only expected to climb. Swiftwater and helicopter rescue crews have rescued more than 200 people since Thursday, and there's no cell phone service in much of western North Carolina. Cell phone providers say it will be several days until service can be restored. Governor Roy Cooper has said this devastation in western North Carolina is unlike anything they've ever seen before. WRAL's Carly Haynes is live outside the Emergency Operations Center. Now, Carly, you spoke one-on-one about with the governor, I should say. What did he have to say?
Julian, the people inside the Emergency Operations Center have been working around the clock. The state has brought in the National Guard. They're working with FEMA, with the American Red Cross, and Governor Roy Cooper said the #1 priority is to get people out and supplies in. For so many in western North Carolina, no food, no water, and no access to the rest of the world.
And there's a lot of people that are they can't find anybody.
What limited cell service Jamie Johnson found in Banner Elk, she used to call us to ask for help.
Can they please get us communication? Can they, even if they have to drop food in, we need machines that can clear roads, because the roads, there's just so... Almost every road is impassable.
We took that to the governor. What is North Carolina doing to supply those necessities to people?
Right now, we are sending supplies via air. We're also finding routes to get supplies in. The Department of Transportation is helping emergency vehicles find routes to get around the devastation of the roads.
Landslides slashed fibers and cables. The state is pushing these cell companies to get towers back up while enforcements are brought in. Rivers are still rising from rainwater. At least 10 people have already died.
We have search and rescue teams from all over the country who are in North Carolina helping to find people like that, to help get them to safety. That is our priority right now, to save lives.
People living in western counties stranded in their own homes. Now they're pleading for people to pay attention.
It's absolutely awful.
And the governor says nearly 400 roads are closed in that part of the state. Emergency shelters are starting to open, but people are struggling to get to them. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Search and rescue crews in Buncombe County have been working around the clock, and those efforts are still underway at this hour. They have conducted at least 150 swift water rescues. Officials are even going door to door, in some cases conducting welfare checks. According to the Sheriff's Department, they continue to recover bodies from the flooding and landslides. They have not confirmed a number of fatalities, only venturing to say there have been multiple. And officials tell us this is just the beginning.
As we assess the damage, this is looking to be Buncombe County's own Hurricane Katrina.
You've heard us say catastrophic devastation within our county. It is. I would go a little bit further and say we have biblical devastation through the county. We've had biblical flooding here, and it has been extremely significant.
You can hear the somberness in their voices. Right now, they are still waiting to get food and water and supplies there. They are in the process of setting up locations to distribute supplies. Once they become available, county officials will give another update at 10 a.m. tomorrow. In Asheville, flooding left behind devastating damage. Now, this is drone footage of Biltmore Village. You can see the streets have turned into rivers there. WRAL's Willie Danley was able to get back there today, where people are now looking toward recovery.
This is Asheville one day after Hurricane Helene caused catastrophic destruction. Businesses have been ripped open, cars abandoned in the street. I spoke to people who live here and they tell me the place almost looks unrecognizable.
Trees all across all the roads, every house had trees leaning against them. It was terrible.
The water is receding, but a lot of damage remains. This is a look at Biltmore Village, hit hard by Hurricane Helene. Flooded out cars are blocking roadways, and downed trees are on nearly every road. In a time of desperation, WRAL witnessed the moment some people resorted to looting stores in the area, ripped open by floodwater.
I felt like I had been kind of thrown into a movie. Just to see my hometown just decimated, to see trees down. I just never thought this would ever happen in a place like Asheville.
Millie Etheridge took shelter at her grandmother's house as the storm came through.
It was insane. Like I said, I'm from Florida, or I live in Florida, and I've experienced hurricanes, but this was kind of unlike anything I've ever experienced. The howling winds, just hearing the rain was very eerie.
Mark Lehman is the general manager of the Grand Bohemian Hotel in Biltmore Village, one of the many buildings that sustained a lot of damage.
We're one of the bigger buildings. We're a great company. We're going to be okay. We're going to build back. We'll be better than ever. We're already excited about welcoming back our team here at the hotel and welcoming back our guests, but there's a lot of small businesses here in Biltmore Village, a lot of small shops that were not as fortunate.
People who live here tell me this is heartbreaking. They believe it's going to take weeks to months before things return to normal. In Asheville, Willie Danley, WRAL News.
That EF3 tornado was one of several Helene caused across our state. Let's bring in meteorologist Anthony Baglione to talk more about what's ahead. Anthony.
Julian, here's a look kind of at the survey that we got in on that specific tornado. We're going to go through a couple of those here that the National Weather Service put out. They go out and kind of look and see exactly where the kind of impacts are, the damage potentially from some of these systems. And of course, yes, that's that EF3 that we were mentioning here a second ago. Rocky Mountain in Nash County, 140 mile per hour winds. I will tell you that is not typical for a tropical system. And we did see that a very similar situation in EF3 there in the eastern parts of our viewing area with Debbie coming through a couple months ago, unfortunately. EF1 there, also near Hampton, that's in Durham County. This is one of the newest reports that we've gotten in at 95 mile per hour winds, 50 yards. That's it as far as the width, and then near Garland there in EF1. So that begs the question here, where do we go from there? Do we have any additional storms on the way? I can tell you tonight we do not. We have no severe weather in the forecast here for the foreseeable future. We're looking at probably just a couple light spotty areas of rain here early tomorrow morning. For the majority of us, though, we're looking fine. Here's a look at Futurecast, so we get you to 8 o'clock in the morning. There may be, I will say, a couple scattered showers across the area tomorrow afternoon. Again, nothing severe, but there's a look at lunchtime. We go through the afternoon. A lot of dry time, but we could see some hit or miss showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. We're going to go over, Julian, here coming up in just a few minutes, kind of a look in the tropics where we are watching at least a potential area of development, and then a look at our forecast next week coming up.
Thanks, Anthony. We're watching this very closely as well. In Rocky Mount, people are picking up the pieces after that devastating EF3 tornado yesterday. The storm injured 15 people, 4 of them seriously, and left debris scattered over miles. A state emergency remains in effect. WRAL's Eric Miller has the story.
This afternoon, the sun is shining on a battered Rocky Mount. This here behind me was a medical supply store. And if you take a look down here on the ground, you can see pieces of brick and chunks of wood that were literally ripped out of the building by this tornado, alongside pieces of medical equipment like this crutch here. All of this is friends, neighbors, community members trying to help this city get back on its feet.
This home security video shows much more than rain falling on David Gardner's front yard Friday on Sandtrap Drive.
Yeah, we found clothes, we found laptop batteries, we found all kinds of things.
Things like these humidifier cups.
Just scattered out throughout the backyard and on the golf course. They're kind of everywhere.
Everywhere, but coming from right here. Respiracare Medical Supply, which sits nearly a mile from Gardner's home and was completely demolished by the tornado.
I have 2 kids and we huddled in the bathroom just to kind of ride it out.
That same building-shaking, heartbreaking storm also ripped apart Hing Ta Restaurant.
I'm hoping that they'll rebuild and we can get back together.
Off camera, the owners told us they're not giving up on this business, but still haven't been allowed inside to survey the damage and decide what their next steps are.
Go help yourself and take everything out of the trunk.
Bobby and Denise Borowski weren't waiting for any all clear. They delivered cookies and pallets of water to first responders at the scene.
It's just too close to home. God was here.
A piece of relief as this part of Rocky Mount pieces itself back together. In Rocky Mount, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
Now we know North Carolinians love to give. If you want to help the people impacted by Helene, head to WRAL.com. We have a list of organizations looking for donations and the items they need the most. Our coverage of Helene's aftermath doesn't stop here. We have crews headed to Western North Carolina. WRAL's Brett Neese and Eric Miller will bring us reports on recovery efforts tomorrow and throughout the week to come. WRAL had 2 crews in Asheville for the past few days as Helene moved right on through. Today, their task was to find a way home amidst all of this destruction that you see behind me, so our team can reset and regroup before heading back to Western North Carolina to follow this important story. I want to show you this. The normal 4-hour trip to Asheville just couldn't happen today. Instead, it was this route that you see here that went through South Carolina and had to come all the way back up to North Carolina just to get home. WRAL's Sean Gallinger and photojournalist Kurt Trimper detail the journey so many are making out of the destruction.
Biltmore Village is underwater. This is the story you should have seen yesterday, but you didn't.
I just feel like it's important to mention, but I think I may have lost you guys. I don't hear anything. I'm sorry.
Around 12:15, our cell signals dropped in Asheville, but we still talk to people on the ground.
Just devastating. I mean, I've seen it flooded before, but nothing like this ever.
I've never seen anything like it before. Nothing like this.
We shot video to send back to the station later.
We found some higher ground where there weren't as many issues with flooding, but they weren't exempt from the devastation. Take a look.
But no one saw it. Asheville felt like another planet.
So this is our room.
There's no power, no water, no connection to the outside world.
What's your plan?
Find somebody that knows something, I guess. We have nowhere to go and there's no way out.
And today, everyone taking a gamble on what direction to go.
Because if we get out there and we get in traffic and get stopped and then we run out of gas, we're just going to cause problems for other people.
We decided to go south.
We're just kind of committing to a plan and hoping it works, which is a little daunting, I'd say.
The main highways were clear for the most part, giving way to our first visuals of the damage near the river.
There are some low-lying homes here.
Yeah,
just rooftops.
And the hunt for gas became dire every passing mile.
Maybe there's no gas in the pumps.
But the small taste of victories
oh, Mother of God, yes.
For people who have had a series of defeats.
Buildings, just trees, landslides, power lines down.
So we just hit South Carolina. We are trying to get to Greenville.
Does it look like they have gas? For now.
We were out of fuel with regular, and mid-grade is working just great.
Come on.
We met people trying to help any way they could.
Because that side is, nobody is able to get in. Everybody on this side's coming in.
All right, 13 gallons all filled up, ready to go. It's like the first break I feel like we've had in a long time. So yeah, we're ready to go. We'll be able to get to Greenville, hopefully get to Charlotte, then back to Raleigh. So it's taken us a little bit longer to get home, but it's really nothing compared to what the people in Asheville are dealing with right now. They've got, no power.
No water.
Yeah, no water.
No internet.
Yeah, really, no way to communicate with anybody. It's going to be, days, weeks, if not months for them to get back on their feet. Really just people who are in need of help.
Resilience of North Carolinians right there. Well, take a look at this video here. A woman named Khalil from Asheville shared this with us, and you can see her home in the middle of what looks like a river. The good news, she says she and her family are safe tonight. The owner of the Carolina Panthers and his wife made a $3 million commitment to Helene relief efforts. David and Nicole Temper said the funds will assist food banks and pantries, community foundations, and other service agencies. Meanwhile, singer Luke Combs, who grew up in Asheville, says he is working on something special to help the Carolinians as much as he can.